up we've got Stephen Joyner. He calls himself a wordsmith. You can check him out at stephenjoyner.com. And he says that his brief bio is 50 words on the nose since he is a wordsmith. Stephen Joyner is a writer, speaker, and teacher. He feels we need to completely shift how we look at the world, our holistic selves, our passion, and our purpose. He hopes to inspire people to think more critically, through continuums of thought and commonalities rather than polarized thinking of divisiveness. Please welcome Stephen Joyner.
Got all that. All right, so this is called The Art of the Belly. This is a book that I'm writing. It's navigating culture at the gut level. The Art of the Belly is based on 2 lives that I've lived in Japan: the sport of sumo, cultural metaphors, and a value schema. And I'm going to try to go over all of those in the next 6 minutes and 20 seconds now. The Art of the Belly is a Japanese term, hara-gei, hara stomach gei art. Hara-kiri is a word you probably know. That's what samurais do to their stomachs when they're dishonored. Hara, stomach, kiri, cut. The idea is that the seat of the soul is in the stomach, in the gut. And by opening your gut, you show your soul. Hara-gei also has the implications of what we mean by gut instinct. I lived in Japan twice, once in a place called Shizuoka, and then 4 years later I was crazy enough to go back to Kyoto City. I learned a lot in Japan, including that God is bigger than any religion, that my temper and my paper houses never mixed, and that being a suspicious minority really sucks. So the sport of sumo is based around the dokyo, which is about 30 tons of clay. There's a lot of Shinto ritual and pageantry involved in the dokyo, which is the sacred space where sumo takes place. On the dokyo, there are 2 main characters. There are the rikishi, which are the sumo wrestlers. They don't like the word wrestler. Rikishi means man of strength, and that's what I'll be saying from now on. The gyoji is the judge, and they wear kimonos that are circa 19th century Japan. They carry a fan, which they use to officiate the matches, and they have a knife in their belt, and they're allowed to kill themselves if they make an incorrect call. The dokyo-iri is about a 4-minute-long process where they throw salt, they stomp, and they clap. The stomping and clapping is to awaken the gods. The salt is purification. They drink water. They towel themselves off. This is all a purification ritual. It's all based on Shintoism. That takes about 4 minutes, and then the match begins. And the match is usually about 1 to 10 seconds long. There are 82 ways to win a match in sumo. Typically, that's either by thrusting or pushing, or by grabbing the belt or the body, aka kind of judo. You can't make a fist, but you can slap with an open hand. So those are 8 examples of winning moves. So 4 minutes, or about 5 seconds. I don't know if anyone can relate to that. So there are 6 tournaments a year, 3 in Tokyo. Right now there's one going on in Tokyo. It's day 5. There's one in Osaka, one in Nagoya, one in Fukuoka. And they happen every 2 months on the odd month. And in between there's provincial tours, so there's no break for sumo wrestlers. It's a pretty hard life. There are 630 people below the arrow. We're not going to talk about them because that's about as interesting as AAA baseball, which I find interesting. But above that, there are 70 upper division, and the very top is Yokozuna and the Ozeki. I'm going to focus on a couple of Yokozuna. So I told you about my first life in Japan. The first life in Japan was 1997-2000, and I lived in a place called Shizuoka, which is famous for Mount Fuji. And I call this phase of my life the beginner's mind, which is a Buddhist concept for that which is an empty vessel. This is a very nice way of me saying I was a total and complete dumbass when I got there. So to demonstrate how little I knew about Japan, I'm going to show you my vocabulary when I arrived. And I hope that when you see this vocabulary, you'll understand the extent with which I knew this country. Still to date, the heaviest sumo wrestler, or rikishi, in history. He weighed in at 630 pounds. That's 3 times the size of me, about the same height. They call him the meatball or the dumb truck. And I turned on sumo the very first time I ever saw him. I saw him fighting, and I saw his multiple thighs, and I thought to myself, that's disgusting. And then I saw Akebona, who's another Hawaiian, the first grand champion, the Yokozuna. He's 6'8", and you can see his favorite method was basically to be like the big brother to the little brother. He would pick you up and hurl you bodily out of the ring. He went on to become a K1 fighter, which was very depressing for me to watch, but you can see his size. My second life in Japan, I call it the remaining mind. This is a Buddhist concept around the idea that once your action is complete, you're not done yet. So I returned to Japan a little reluctantly. I was kind of tired of Japan, but when I went back, I really got into sumo and really paid attention to it. And at the time, there was a Mongolian, the first Mongolian champion, named Asashoryu. And I call him sumo's bad boy. And one of the bad things he did is the picture to your right, which is to celebrate when he won. Huge, huge issue. He also punched people off the dohyo, but this was really one of his major transgressions, was to celebrate after winning. Which brings me to the notion of sports in general, but also what sumo started to teach me. And I came up with a sporting metaphor, and this is how I dealt with the fact that I don't really like sports. I don't actually watch sports, and I have more issues with sports than I like. But I realized that sumo was a way for me to learn about the culture, and as I learned about sumo, I learned about Japan, and vice versa. So I developed what I call the value schema. I'm not going to go over this, but you get the sense of, I quizzed all my Japanese students. Ken-san I put at the top because the humility is very important to sumo. You don't show emotions on the dohyo. Tachi shikai, the sense of hierarchy. There's a lot to learn about sumo as a cultural metaphor for sport. Controversy. So women are not allowed in the dohyo. It's a sacred space. You bleed once a month. You're not clean. You can't get up there. How does that sit with you? Sumo stables, which is what they call where they train people, they allow one foreigner in. Imagine if a baseball team passed that rule. And there's always bout fixing issues. Freakonomics has a chapter about it. Other controversy, several rikishi were thrown out of sumo last year for smoking weed. They were Olympic swimmers, they'd be fine. There was a rikishi who was beaten to death after he left his beya and returned. And there's all this argument about gaijin, which is a foreigner. Too many foreigners in the sport. Right now there's a tournament going on. The top 3 people in the tournament are all foreigners. So people talk about what's going to happen in Japan, what's going to happen in sumo. And here's a little game you can play while I finish up. Spot me in the crowd.